crop and combine pictures specifically for this BioLit Nature versus Nurture project. A couple important things are I like to have my pictures ready to go on my desktop, but you can have them in any file folder. But your pictures, it would probably be easier just to edit them in iPhoto. That's what I did to make them similar. The two pictures I'm doing are pretty different, which is just because this picture here is of my dad when he was a young boy, so this is probably a 60-year-old picture. And then this is a picture of my 2-year-old son, and I'm trying to see how much they look alike. But your pictures will probably be more exact because of the details that we gave you to do, as far as lighting and picture quality and what to wear and things like that. But anyway, this will still give you an idea of how to do this. So I just did regular editing, enhance the pictures in iPhoto, and then save them as JPEGs and put them on my desktop, and now I'm going to pull them into GIMP. So GIMP is this little guy with a paintbrush. GIMP works like Photoshop, but it's free, so that's a big plus. GIMP does so many things that we won't even scratch the surface of, but you can play around with it and you can do a lot of cool things. Okay, so I'm going to first go to File and Open, and I'm going to open my first picture, which is of my son, and click Open, and that will come up. Okay, and then I'm also going to go ahead and open the other picture that I'm going to work on. And I'm going to open them separately and work on them separately, and then eventually copy and paste it into there. So here's the picture of my dad. Going to open. And yours will just open. Mine picture, since it's an old picture, has some weird stuff going on with it. In it, I'm going to put okay there, but yours won't have that most likely. That's just because I have an old picture. Okay, so that picture is going to pop up too. So now I have my two pictures. Okay, and just to give you an idea, when GIMP does open, when you open GIMP, you'll have three parts to it. You have this part, which has your canvas. And I say canvas, oops, let me undo that, because I didn't mean to be on that tool. Okay, the move, when you look over here at your toolbox, this is one area that will open, and you will use today, most likely, this little move tool, the scale tool, and the rectangle select tool. Possibly might use the color selector tool here, and the paintbrush, but there's so many things you can do with all these tools. It's pretty awesome. Up here in the menu the menu up here has the same things that the toolbox has, it's just you get to them differently. Okay, so you're in three sections. You're going to have your canvas here, your toolbox, and your layers. Okay, the canvas, when they say canvas, when I move the picture over, the canvas is this checkered gray block. Okay, if you notice, when I move the picture over, this doesn't show up because it's not part of the canvas. So whatever is on your canvas, it's kind of like when you're actually painting on a real canvas. Whatever you paint on or put on that canvas will show up, but I've moved it off so it's not going to fit. But there are ways to eventually, I'm going to resize this and scale it, and then after that I will fit canvas to layers, and that matches it up. Okay, so that's a very easy tool that we'll use. Okay, so the first thing, and also the layers box over here. We're not going to do a lot with layers today, but basically this works in layers, kind of like transparency films. If you keep laying transparency films on each other and you do changes in them, you can put them together and you'll see, you can see through them. You can make the layers transparent, or you can make them only show partly through. There's so many things you can do with it. Today we're just going to do these two separate pictures and then add one picture into the other and then merge the layers. So we will end up with two layers, but we're going to merge them. So we're doing very little with layers, but just to give you an idea. Okay, so first of all, I want to make sure my pictures are the same size. I kind of did it in iPhoto, however, somehow, I think maybe because this is an older picture, it got distorted a little bit. So the sizes I know are different because I've done this before, and I want to make sure they're the same size now in GIMP. So I'm going to go to Scale Tool. And actually, one thing I want to do is I want to make this at, this is like your zooming. So right now I want them to be 100% because I want to know really kind of what size they are and that they're similar. Okay. So I'm at 100% and I want to scale it. So this is the Scale tool. Scale the layer selection or path. Okay, so I click on it and then I click on the picture. And right here it's going to let me, which tells you the width and height. And I want it to be more like 450 by 600. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but they both should be similar, very close to each other. This is kind of important because if you unlock it, then you can change just the width or the height alone, but if you lock it, they're going to both change and stay in proportion to each other. And when we're working on a portrait image, you really want it to stay in proportion or else things will start getting distorted. So we're going to take it to about 450 by 600. Yours doesn't have to be exactly that, but similar in that, and because we're putting them on a website and we don't want them to be, the file size to be too big, and we don't need a big photo on a web page. Now you could always save two different versions of this, one that you could print out and one that you could put on the website, and that way you'll have the best quality. Okay, so I scaled it to about 450 by 601, which is fine, so I'm going to click Scale and it's going to change it. Okay, now if you see my canvas back here is too large, so I'm going to go ahead and fit canvas to layers, and then it's perfect. Okay, so I've got that picture done as far as being scaled, and so now I'm going to move my move tool and bring this picture up, make it a little bigger. This one I know is way big. See, it's not even near the size it needs to be. So I'm going to click the Scale tool and I'll click on the picture. This thing is locked, so they're going to go in proportion, and look how much bigger that was, so that's why it's not looking right. So as I make this smaller, you can see the face shrinking in the box, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to try to get it to 450 by 600. And I went a little too far. Okay. Okay, so 450 by 600, that's perfect. That'll work. So the other one was like one difference, that's not a big deal. So click Scale. And it's working on sizing it.
Have your attention, please, for just one announcement.
Excuse the announcements in the background.
Just a reminder to all middle school and high school FFA members.
Okay.
We have a meeting at this time in Mr. Jones' room. Again, middle school, high school FFA. We have a meeting at this time in Mr. Jones' room. Thank you.
Okay, so excuse the announcements. I'm doing this during my prep period, and sometimes there's interruptions. Okay, so I don't know. Do you see the picture anywhere? Here, I don't, but I know it's there somewhere. So I am going to, I'm still clicked on this, and I'm going to go up here to Image, and I'm going to put Fit Canvas to Layers, because then, yep, there it is. It should show up. Okay, so now I know. I'm going to click the Move button, and I know that this canvas, see, it's perfectly sized the canvas to the layer. So we're good to go. Okay, so now we need two halves. We need two half faces. So I'm going to work on this one first, and I'm going to do the Rectangle Select tool. This is the Circle Select tool, but the rectangle one will work good for this. So I'm going to go, the nose is kind of the middle, so I'm going to go up from the nose, and keep in mind we can adjust it once we do it. Okay, so I am going to make a rectangle here, and I can already see it's over too far because the nose is not half. Oh, let me do it again. Okay, so I got that on there, and now if I need to make it smaller, it'll look like that. If you go too far, it'll just take the box away. So I go right there, and I'm going to shrink it in a little bit. Okay, then I go up to Image, Crop to Selection, and there I go. Okay, so I got that one is perfect. And now I need to work on this one and make it half. Make sure you do 2 different halves, of course. So I pick the rectangle select tool again. I'm going to go up from his nose, and then I'm going to go the other half. Okay, and I know that it's not quite the middle, so I'm going to fix that. And then I go to image again and crop to selection. Okay, so now I have 2 halves, but I need to put them together. So I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to go to edit and copy, and then I'm going to minimize it because I don't need it up here right now. Okay, and I'm going to be in this layer, and I'm going to click paste as. This is important, you can't just paste it. Paste as a new layer. Okay? So now I have my 2 halves, but there's a couple things happening. Number 1 is, look, it's not showing up here, and we need to fix that. First I'm going to put them beside each other. And the reason it's not showing up is because my canvas is not that big yet. So if I go up here to image and fit canvas to layers again, then my canvas is big enough. Okay, so, and now I need to move my dad's picture down a little bit. And when I did these, I knew they weren't going to be matched up perfectly. Like yours will be matched up much better. Simply because my dad was probably 9, 10 years old at this time of this picture, and my son's only 2, so my dad's face is bigger and he has full-grown teeth. However, by match, I can still see they have the exact same nose, their eyes are similar, and their facial structure is similar, so that's kind of cool, even though it's not the same size. I can still see they do have a lot of similarities, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I have them matched up. And now, and if you look over here at layers, you'll see that we have 2 layers now. Okay, so we have one half face is a layer and the other half face is a layer. I want to just merge them to one, so I'm going to go to image and merge visible layers. And that, if you look over at layers again, now I'm down to only 1. Okay, so now I have a couple issues. And that is, I did move them around a little bit, so let me fit canvas to layers again. Okay. So I have some space up here that's not proportionate, so I can do a couple things. I can just crop the whole picture. So I would do my rectangular select tool, and I would crop down to there. And I need to bring this up a tad. Okay, so I could just crop it there and do image, crop to selection, which that works. Okay. If there was, let me undo that and show you something else. Undo crop. Okay, so right now, if I wanted to, I could paint this, like this gray in the hair, and I could touch it up. So let me show you that real quick. And that is, I do the color picker tool, which is a really cool tool because it's like an eyedropper that sucks up the color that you need to use, and when you're trying to make things similar, that's very helpful. So I'm going to do the color select tool on this gray, and you see it comes up in my palette here. Then I'm going to click on the paintbrush, and then I'm going to paint in there. Okay, so basically, anytime you want to touch things up, you do a lot of things with this color picker tool. Like if they had a blemish or something you wanted to fix, you could use the color picker tool to fix that. In this brush, there's lots of different sizes and different ways to use it, and you can kind of mess around with that. There's also lots of other tools here, like a cloning tool. There's so much stuff you can do. A smudge tool kind of blends it a little better. But anyway, that all gives you an idea. I'm going to go back. Well, I'm just going to do it again to show you again, but I'll just crop this to selection again, just to get it done here. Okay, and then I go to image, crop to selection. Okay, and then I think my picture's pretty good at this point. If you wanted to make this blend, but like your colors should be very similar because you're in the same lighting, but since these are such different pictures, I could actually go through and blend. I could zoom in and blend this better, but I don't think you're going to have that issue, so we're not going to get into that right now. So if my picture's done, you probably want to save it too, because then you could go back in and work. So you could save it as just this GIMP file, and you can go back in and change something or fix something if you want to and later on. But I want to export it so I can make it into a JPEG, because when you save it right now, it's not going to be a JPEG, it's going to be a GIMP file, which you could work on again, whereas I want to export it to make it a JPEG so I can upload it to the web. I'm going to click export, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize that because I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to save it to my desktop, and it's a JPEG, and that's what we want to save it as. And I'm just going to call it Final Portrait. If I were you for this project, I would have a file for this project and put all your things in here, like your poem, anything that's going to be uploaded to that website, to your web page, because it'll be much handier when it's all together. Okay, so I'm going to export it. And it should be, comes up another screen, and I just click, I want to do 100% quality and export. And it should be done. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, and if you see here, by saving it, it has that .xcf file, that's a GIMP file. So I'll just save it in case I need to change anything. Okay, so I'm going to X out of all these. Okay, and if you can see here, Final Portrait, it's up here on my desktop. And if I click on it, it'll go into preview, and it's just a regular JPEG picture now. So it'll be easy to upload to the web. Okay, so that's all I have for you for our GIMP tutorial. Let me know if you have any other questions or you want to do anything, any other kind of projects or anything in GIMP. I'd love to help you.